5, 4, 3, 2, 1, sync.
Sync.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 242 of the TTV podcast. I'm Meso.
I'm Matoran.
I'm Eljay.
I'm Jonathan Dwan.
I'm Venathan Vaughn.
I'm
Good name. I like that.
I'm Phweffie.
I'm Tenebrae Invictus.
And, yeah.
This is episode Juan.
This is wait. I was gonna say this is like Dwan 90-something, but I guess we're in the 200s pretty fairly now.
You
so
know, Var, that was
200 and
good.
Juan.
Good try, good try.
Good
No,
job.
Thank you.
Var, that was a good one.
Good Juan.
It was a good one.
Thank you, Phweffie.
Get out of here, Invi. I was gonna say that first, and you took it from me.
What?
was a good Juan.
What? Thanks. I know. I am the best Juan.
Best draw.
We know.
Your number Juan.
Of all the Juans here, I am the best one.
There can only be one.
Well, you'll see, I am Eljay.
Is that our next April Fool's prank? And we're gonna take over just like LJ did that one time.
But
Speaking of which, hey, Duplonicle, guys. Duplonicle. How was
The
that?
Juan.
How did you guys enjoy that? I wasn't here for that.
It's fine.
Actually, I had my
Okay.
own April Fool's joke that I wanted to play. I wasn't there for.
Yeah, me too.
But in the spirit of April Fool's, I would like to congratulate LJ on surpassing me in Twitter followers. Let's hear it for LJ, passing me up in 3 months.
Because you are number
We had-
one.
I told you
I
guys
don't
we were gonna win
understand
again.
how you're
This-
number one. It's just a
LJ
thing
had
before.
two goals. He wanted to be
You're
funny.
the
He wanted to
one.
surpass me. He hasn't done either. So I mean,
I don't know about this thing. I think I've done an adequate job of being funny. The surpassing, that's fine. I'm gonna do it eventually. I managed to garner 375 people at the time of this recording,
right.
and you are
That's
you're less than 300 away. So by the end of the year,
I mean, double. Yeah, I'm less
You're
than
gonna-
double.
you're
double your
going down.
Your followers.
See, it was funny because there was a point where I was like 10 or less followers away from surpassing Kahi myself.
Meso, I'm really annoyed with you.
Uh-oh.
I don't understand why you keep getting followers. You don't ever post anything!
Here's the thing.
do anything.
Meso just like
you
Meso.
just freaking retweet everything everyone
Meso's a
else
reposter.
does!
He's like he has no original content. He just reposts over and over
It's so
and over.
annoying!
it works
What
out
is
as
this?
Broke. Don't fix it.
Right
There
now,
was a
Meso
point-
has more
Wow.
followers than I do, so every time he like reposts one of mine, I get some of his, so it's great.
I mean,
I
that
love
is
it.
how Twitter works. That is how the system works.
Exactly, it's
All right,
fantastic.
currently I'm
gotta say,
7 away
Kahi.
from Kahi. There was a point where I was closer, and then he posted his shooting stars thing. And the
I
rest
did,
was history.
and that kind of like that exploded.
Yeah,
and then I got
that's
the BIONICLE meme, the
Yeah, that was it. And the Ninjago thing.
Oscars one, the Ninjago thing. I've had a really good run recently.
You,
I got
you keep
Aisha
yourself
Curry.
ahead through strategy. That's what you do. You do like
Yeah,
a couple
I mean,
big
like Meso,
bombs.
you interact more with the community. That's a great. that's a
LJ's
great
more of a
thing.
meme poster. You like
Yeah,
just-
LJ just me light. Let's be real.
LJ's
and then-
Excuse me?
I throw
The thing about
everything I
Purple-
can against the wall and see what sticks.
Purple just
Purple
spills her
is
whole life on
20
Twitter.
followers behind me, and that's actually kind of a criminal thing because she actually does good work. Like that's the thing with Purple. She actually does great art and she
I
posts
haven't
it.
actually looked at
And
my
she did
Twitter
that
follow.
Overwatch stuff of all of this, and I got like what 30 some likes, and I photoshopped Bionicle Mask of Light into the Oscar card, and I got like 181. I'm like, okay, that's not fair.
So
It really
funny.
isn't.
You know what's not fair? My Twitter.
You have Twitter?
Dude,
Exactly.
you don't tweet at me enough, man. I will tweet at you if you like.
Yeah,
we'll
you don't
start a
interact with
conversation.
everyone. That's your
If
problem.
you interact with people, then we'll try something. You should
Yeah.
interact with everyone more though.
I
Yeah,
just
but I
have.
post art.
I
Yeah, but you're all
am
in
really.
the corner, though.
I haven't really thought of any good memes recently, so just kind of, you know,
Yeah, I know. I really like your meme
just
stuff.
been
but you haven't
complaining
doing
about
it
my life,
recently.
basically. Just
Once in a while, like sometimes you'll post something and I'm like, I feel too bad to like make a joke from what you're saying, so I'm just gonna like that and then I'm gonna.
walk
No,
away.
seriously,
It's
make
like,
fun
I
of
at least-
no,
yeah.
like
I've been doing everything I can to interact. Like Phweffie, we've had several recent Twitter interactions.
yeah, I
Oh, yeah.
I
That thing have been
savaged you,
funny.
buddy.
Hmm?
I savaged you last time.
She did though, man. She like she roasted you over an open
Roaster
fire.
the toaster.
Yeah, reap what you sow.
Yeah,
Hey, speaking
I'm
of
done.
roasting, speaking of reaping what you guys sow.
Yeah, I was about to say, Kahi.
Speaking
like,
of
that was a
roasted,
bold
I love roasted
strategy.
peanuts.
coming on
Speaking of
onto the
roasted, I love
podcast this
roasts.
week and being
You
like,
suck.
"Oh, LJ, good job on surpassing me." Well, Kahi, in the spirit of April Fools, good job convincing us that Toa need to date each other.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Here's the thing with that. All right, so there's
goes.
one thing.
What's the spiel?
He's gonna come to spiel. There's the main thing I want. The main thing I want to say actually, because I know we've been
Oh
talking
gosh, he's
roasting
spieling
thing
it
about
all over the place.
the one thing I actually have an issue with is when you took something, you basically political talk showed me, where you took something I said and you presented it as like something completely different, where apparently I'm saying that guys and girls can't be friends.
Sorry,
which is
that's
like-
kind of what you
I
said.
mean, we did have that debate.
That's not at all.
You're just a
That's
fascist.
that's not at all what I said at all.
You were like, if we make Pohatu a girl, it'll
gonna
change the
change
dynamics of
Kopaka's
Pohatu and
dynamic.
I
Kopaka's
will say,
friendship.
here's
It'll make it romantic.
It'll make it a
what I did
romance.
say. I didn't say it would automatically make it a romance. I did say that if you're a person, your relationship with the same gender is different from your relationship with people of the opposite gender. Just generally, just because the genders are different. That's how your relationship goes. So changing it from male to female, if you have a close male relationship and you change that to a close female relationship, is going to be a little change in the dynamic. But at no point where I was like, and that means they can never be friends, and also it will always turn to romance. Never
Read
said
in
that.
between the lines, ladies and gentlemen.
That was never
Ladies
said.
in media
So.
cannot be anything more than a romantic option.
There's
Talking
sexism
about
in there everywhere.
17.
As Oomatu says in
I
our
think
live
they're
studio
different.
audience, genderally speaking. Genderally.
I think they could be perfect friends, and I conceded this. Not conceded this. I said this over the line, but you guys didn't mention that at all. So
I don't even remember talking about this, to be honest.
It's because
Yeah,
we're
me
still
neither.
due for a knockdown drag out on the podcast, even though everybody's made up their minds. It was just
We've been
Everyone
talking
was
about
made
this
up
for
their
3
it was
weeks, but no one's changed their mind.
contextually comedic to reference it last
Separately-
week.
separately-
Contextually comedic.
I understand.
Now we're all in
that
this together.
I feel okay. So I feel like this is the main difference. You guys are like, I am to be fair, the only one who's kind of pushing for this in terms of like wanting
that right.
the option to be relatable. But
We're gonna see it
Here's
as a
the-
what if situation. Like instead of assuming anything's gonna happen, just if it happens, then we'll talk about it then.
that's
We've obviously
what I'm
discussed it.
It
Yeah,
won't
but you're
happen.
like
Right.
pushing it way more. Like I'm okay. Like if we write 2 characters and it turns out okay, they have really good chemistry with each other, and the whole fan base is going, "Oh my gosh, these guys should be shipped together." Okay, that makes sense to me. But like, if you're going with the idea set on the fact that let's have a romance, which is kind of what you're sounding like because you're so urgent to like have it as a thing, then it's
I don't know.
yeah.
I'm not. I'm with you. That's
But like
all I'm
it
saying.
sounds
is
like
if
you are because you keep bringing it up.
I don't bring it up at all. They're
I don't bring it up at all.
as a thing.
I don't bring it
Listen,
up at
I'm
all.
saying I don't bring up that they need to be in a relationship at all. I'm saying
kinda
that we should
scared
keep
right
it
now.
open. That's what I've said this
And
entire
everyone
time.
else
Just keep
is
it open.
saying, nobody is going to write them as possibly, even slightly, maybe the minuscule, microscopic chance that they may be in a relationship. That should never be our intention for our main 6 Toa with each other.
Exactly. That's the thing I'm combating against. It's not so much that they
That's
need to be.
ridiculous.
I don't think they need to be
See,
at all.
I
But you said
still-
absolutely not. I'm not absolutely not.
I am absolutely not, and so is everyone else, because intent matters.
Well, okay. Well, I mean, here's the thing. You say
Continue with
everyone
your
else, and that is. I feel like the
True.
main thing that comes in. The main reason this is a thing too, is because there's a difference in perspective necessarily, right? So we are comprised mostly of people who are introverted. Who don't like to interact, go out and interact.
Are
with
you
people, don't
going
bring energy
there?
from that.
Are you really going to go there?
I'm gonna go
You
there.
guys don't know
That's
what it's like
exactly
to
what I
have
think
friends.
said.
You don't have friends.
I'm not saying no, you have to have friends. You guys do have friends. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that like there is a marked difference from how you guys want to interact with people, than from what.
Why are you judging me, bro?
No, I'm excluding from this, Ben. You
So
and Phweffie
basically-
are
My
excluding from
wishes
this.
for
Let's-
this
let's
one
leave
to
it.
not
Actually,
date
you
each
know,
other have nothing to do with my IRL
If you
friendship.
aren't in
No,
a relationship,
I'm
your
saying-
argument's invalid here.
I'm not saying that. I'm
2017.
saying I have a different perspective because I've seen different relationships. I've seen more of them.
That doesn't invalidate our arguments.
I didn't say it invalidates it. I'm just
You're
saying that we have
implying it.
different
Oh
opinions.
no! I
Never said it
I know what
invalidated
he's
it.
saying.
You
No,
guys
I
still have a
didn't say you
valid
said you're
opinion.
implying it
I'm
heavily.
saying that you guys are like, well, we all want it this way. Why, like in Kahi, for some reason wants the other. This is the some reason. The some reason is because I want this. Is because I have a different perspective on relationships. I feel than you guys. By you guys, I'm most of the people are vocally against it.
Mostly people.
So
are
everybody.
dating right now.
No,
It's like,
okay.
Well, I mean, what Phweffie
yeah.
said is the exact stance I have.
You've put
That's fair enough.
fourth year retort. This is not the week we're discussing this. What else do you have to retort about last week's podcast?
Dang, dude.
No, I'm just saying we got like 2 things to talk about this week's not the romance week. But
Yeah,
No,
we've
no,
talked
the
about
romance
romance.
retort.
Dude,
What else
This
do
is
we wanna
exactly
retort?
what we were talking about. How last week we can't talk about something without having to go back to it and debate
Yeah.
it again.
Well, no, I'm saying the
Yeah.
only reason I'm saying is because you guys decided to roast me behind my back. I gotta address that.
don't worry.
I don't know why. I don't know why that's a thing.
Roast you right
I'm-
now.
I mean,
listen, we
honestly,
reached
what you're doing right
Is
now
this
is
a
kind of
drama
proving the
channel?
whole roast
What the heck is
accurate.
going on?
To be honest, this
Did
is
I
exactly
walk
what we were
into
talking
friggin'
about that you would
Drama Alert
do.
instead of Briconicle?
TTV soap opera.
No, it's fine. You
like-
deserve the chance to combat. I just
If
wanna be
anyone
like,
watched
I'm
that
moving
last
along.
episode, that what we were talking about is right now. What is happening right now is
Well, I mean,
what
like,
we were
what
talking about.
do you expect? I mean, you guys just being jerks last week. I mean, what do you expect?
like
I mean,
sexual
like that.
minutes
Like
in,
I
hold
said,
on,
talking
hold
about
on.
something we've already discussed to
I have
death
a problem
for
with
3
that
episodes.
statement. What do you mean being jerks last week? They're jerks all the time. We're
Exactly.
jerks all the time. What am I saying?
It's true. It's true. I'm just saying that like Var's like,
Someone's
oh,
on the
here's the point.
defensive.
Well, I mean, like, it's totally the
And
thing.
that's what I'm saying. It was a bold strategy coming in here and boasting about Twitter.
I mean, yeah, immediately boasting and immediately
Yep.
trying to start problems.
Good job, buddy. You know,
Listen, I'm just. This is
Cotton,
my.
see how it
This is.
works out for
It's
you.
a bold move going the last week and like when I'm not here and trying to bash the thing like, oh, okay.
It's
We're
fine.
all
Fine.
in this together.
we did the exact. You know what? We
right.
talked about you last week, and then we talked
No,
about you
listen.
here.
What
We-
are we supposed to be talking about this
Well,
week,
no.
Meso?
Yeah.
Just-
Before we even do that.
I wanted to give him the chance to finish, just not about romance. Was there anything else you wanted to say?
Finish
I'm gonna let
we
you
haven't
finish.
started.
Okay, so the one thing I also wanted to say, I do feel that a round shield and spear combination is actually pretty common.
Yes, that
I'm
will be
posting image
something
here.
that we will be addressing.
That's
today
something
as
you
well.
guys said last week that I was like, you know what? Actually, that's. I mean, sure, a shield and a spear is like pretty common. A shield and a sword is also common as well. But you can have a spear and a shield and a round shield. I feel like that's a very common design. So
Got it.
I don't necessarily
You're
disagree that the spear invalidates that. You can have both. It's done in history.
Cool.
The weapon topic, we are definitely going to be revisiting that today. I'm not sure if we should do that first or second because there was we discussed BIONICLE behind the scenes, and this week we had a couple ideas for what to talk about with G3, but then yesterday we were having just a random discussion in chat based on message board topics, and it brought to light a rather interesting disagreement. Should we jump in with that, or should we readdress weapon feedback first? do you
I
guys
say the discussion we had yesterday can wait a little bit. I feel like we might bridge into that later on.
Got it.
I would personally prefer to discuss the weapons a bit more and the Toa's personalities and how that will affect the weapons.
How that will
and
affect the
then,
weapons.
You know, their stance in the world around them a little bit more.
Okay.
Personally speaking, I would like to talk about that, but
Well, I mean, I was going to talk about both in this podcast. That's my point.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll open with the weapons first. Let's do that. So, last week,
because like my idea is that okay, we'll talk about the Toa and then the weapons and then the relationship with the people around them, and then once we talk about the people around them is when we'll talk about that.
got it. In that case, let's hit the ground running. But before we do, hey, if you like our arguments and our comedy and our discussion and our fun times, check us out on Patreon.
Watch our local
Patreon.com/G3
Fight
channel. And you can become part of our live studio audience. Like currently, all the people in the live studio audience asking, do we know what John has been doing idling in the recording channel the past few days? These are the kind of behind-the-scenes questions you could ask if you become part of our Patreon.
I remember I
That's a very
appeared
interesting thing
and
that's
Kai
happened. I
was
literally
sat
don't know
there and
what.
it was like really late and I was like, is Kai falling asleep?
He's literally been like a live streamed open mic for like 12 hours where he would just sit in the recording call with all the public people and his mic is just open and everyone
That
would
is-
just
It's
sit
like
in and
falling
listen in.
asleep.
Well, I mean, it was.
dangerous.
I was away at school. Like
was like
I was
falling
at
asleep
school
at
all
the
day.
park.
I went to bed, and apparently after I went to bed, it synced me to the recording chat. I still do not know why, because I didn't join the recording chat at all up until that point. Then I woke up. Then I took a shower. Then I went to school.
Glad we
Pretty
didn't
good.
have that one.
That was all it.
Yeah.
So haven't
according
been
to
back
Princess
at
and
the thing at all.
Walk, you were there for roughly 17 hours.
Gosh, it
Oh
sounds like a
gosh.
sounds like a Dear Diary
Well,
post
this is
right
not
There's an
now.
open mic for 17 hours.
This is not the first
Which
time
is
that's
like, it's
happened.
crazy.
This has happened to X many times before. We always joked about X ghosting in channels.
Yeah.
But this is the first time for such a long duration.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah, but
why.
X
I
was
mean, like
silent,
the reason it was a long duration is because I didn't check because I just had no reason to. I didn't think that like I had
Did
no
we
reason to
ever-
think my mic would be on.
Have we ever
connected.
talked about like that one time where we tried to call up John and then a demon answered his phone instead?
That was scary.
That did happen. You were very
That
like.
was the thing. This is around the time that John has started ghosting in the first place. He was ghosting with us first. And
Yeah,
our
I
own
remember
little
that. Okay,
chat.
like
Yeah,
it was like
I-
in the middle of the night, like 4 a.m., and John just like randomly pops into our call, and we're like, you there?
Yeah,
Hello?
and so our solution was, okay, let's call
Let's
him
try
up,
calling
let's see
him.
what's up. And then the
the thing that
phone call
answered that
answers.
phone was not John.
That was
it was like deep backwards Latin. I don't.
It wasn't John. It was Jenny.
So,
But
Wadden
It was-
continues
it
to
was
make the live
John's
studio
twin.
audience worthwhile by posting great pictures.
it wasn't
I don't
John.
believe
It
that.
was Joanna.
I like how LJ's head is like the only one that's like proportionate.
well, I mean, let's be real. We all have pretty big heads.
We're all pretty big-headed.
I think that works. That works out pretty well. It's like a bobblehead.
Hashtag body goals. I would love to have a freaking body like that. It'd be great. Hooray. I would have a
Wow.
big head for that.
Oh my god.
It's like that.
That bot-
Would you rather?
brought you Civil War.
But yeah, so the phone was answered when we called him. It was just like this demonic voice that said something unintelligible. It was like distorted and scary.
Join us. Join
We noped right out of that.
You're right.
That was real interesting. We've had some weird glitches with Discord recently. Where like last night, people were like being dragged in a different, not even being dragged. They're just appearing in different.
That happened. We were
It did happen.
Oh, yeah.
Discord was moving us around, and I swear nobody here was
Okay.
doing it. It wasn't like a prank. It actually happened.
Yeah.
Okay,
we
no,
were,
no. I have got to ask.
Sounds like digital
How-
Always
Ouija
getting
board.
triggered.
How do you know it wasn't someone with the ability to move people? Just
Yeah.
See,
on
I'm
the
thinking
call?
it
I mean,
probably
that's
was
fair.
That's what I'm
Fair.
saying. Like it
I mean,
sounds
was
like
it
digital
you?
Ouija board. It's like
No,
Oh, yeah,
oh,
well,
no.
okay,
Here's
it
what
was
happened.
him when I
the
called
board
that
is
night.
moving itself. The
Here's what
ghosts are
happened.
talking to
Here's
us,
what-
but it's
here's
really
what
just someone
happened.
moving
A couple
it.
of us were in call, and we
Right.
all agreed to move to a different voice channel for whatever reason. And then everyone started moving except for me and Meso. And then I saw Meso was about to leave to the voice channel, so I joined it. Meso started freaking out. He's like, "Wait a minute, how did I get here? Who moved me here?
Okay.
Did someone move me here?"
What happened was usually when we move voice channels, there's that period. Like I'm usually the last one to move because I'm slow on the uptake, and like I know I hear ding ding ding, everybody leaves, and then I'm like, oh yeah,
Oh, wait a
I
minute.
need to go. The reason I don't think it was Vin who moved me is because we left at the same time.
Yeah.
But the chat never went silent for me. You guys kept talking, and I was like, wait, I'm in the channel.
It was like
I
it was
just
like I
realized that
brought
this-
you with me when I joined the voice channel.
I just realized this happened to me too before, where I just like randomly moved to another chat
Spooky.
or a channel.
And then
I
then
don't know
at
if you
one
guys remember
point
that.
I do.
No,
I
I think so.
decided, oh, I'm gonna mess with Meso, so I moved him back to the other voice channel, and then I joined him in that channel. I said, "Hey, what's up, bud?" And then he moved back to the voice channel, and I got brought with him.
Yeah, it was like you came in and you're like, "Well, who moved me?" We're like, "No one moved you, man."
It's
And you're
like
"No,
we
no, no,
were
I
about
moved
to watch
Meso,
a
but who
video,
moved
so
me?"
Discord was gravitating us towards our viewing channel by all means.
I guess so. I mean, like it might be like something that we spend time in because I was gravitated to the recording channel and I've never been like I didn't join that night. I was talking to you guys and I logged off and apparently I went back to the recording channel even though I didn't know it.
Weird.
Man,
It's been like Discord's been a little creepy recently.
Point
I don't know what's
being-
going on with it.
These are the kind of shenanigans you can get into behind the scenes antics with if you become part of our live studio audience or just join
Wow.
Patreon regardless.
Good plug.
This
Man.
whole thing is a plug.
Yeah, basically, like, you can join the ways of Discord and see John be in the recording channel for 17 hours and hear all these crazy stories.
That was like the most extensive plug ever. I didn't even catch that it was a plug
Yeah.
until
I know.
you
No, that's
advertised
good.
it.
That's great integration. I like it.
So, as far as G3 is concerned, every week, I recommend you check the description because there's an explanation of what this project is. It's not official. It's fan-made. It's our own spin on how G3 would be done.
It's a fan-made discussion show.
It's a fan-made discussion show. There you go.
It's not even a fan-made line. It's a fan-made discussion show we're doing. Where we're discussing
Exactly.
Bionicle on the podcast.
Last week,
cool
the
art.
one, the only, the greatest Oomatu surprised us all with his incredible weapon concepts. And since then, he's been doing other crazy stuff too. Which, man, your artwork is phenomenal. But today we're going to be talking about weapons. Because...
Did he say he wanted to be? Would you prefer to be referred to as Oomatu or what?
Good question. How would you prefer that? Oomatu or
Did you just assume my name?
What?
Okay, I'm sorry. A live studio audience pretense asked us the question. Cast. Now here's the question: if you were all at Brick Fair and a real ghost showed up and said he'd only take one of you, who would you sacrifice? 5 votes immediately for Kai. 7,
vote
8, 9, 4 for LJ.
I'll vote both.
I like how there's only 2 options.
It's because only 2 people would be sacrificed.
Yeah, basically.
Right, sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I was just saying.
Okay.
Oomatu is a phenomenal guy. We're going to be talking about the weapon concepts this week. That is the crux of our discussion because they were presented at the very end of last week's podcast. And this week, our goal, I want to really take a good look at them, figure out what works, what doesn't, and take a look at community feedback to see what other people have thought. So, where's the picture? We need to get that posted here for reference. I'll go dig it out.
Okay.
Why am I alive?
I don't know. Why are you alive? How are you doing, Phweffie?
I'm gonna ask my mum that later. Why was I born?
Var to join the Muppets.
Maybe you can ask the ghost. Why am I alive,
all this
ghost?
development as a person.
Because
I
you're
guess-
not dead.
Mess, I guess while you're doing that, speaking of Brick Fair, we're going to Brick Fair again, guys. So
Hey,
be there.
Brick Fair! Woo!
Hey, Brick Fair.
Hooray!
Yeah.
Right now, we've at least got everyone here, but Phweffie confirmed. So be there, or be square,
Yeah.
which actually would work because bricks are square.
Be there
Hey,
if
you
you
missed us
dare.
last year. You get a second chance this year.
Yep. It's
You get a
Brick Fair,
second chance to
Virginia.
miss us again.
Yeah, exactly. So prepare yourself to miss us.
Oh, there you go, Meso.
Yes.
I feel like that took way longer than it needed to.
Yeah, I was hoping that somebody with a faster browser would do it, but nobody did, so mine's just going slow for some reason. Anyway. Those are our weapon
Rip.
concepts. I want to reiterate. Last week I saw these, and I immediately fell in love with every single one of them. I think every one of these is a fresh, great spin on the characters we know and love, with the exception of maybe Liwa, because I hate those weapons on principle, but they'd work a lot better in minifigure form than in construction. That being said, I know they don't go well with everybody. The snowboard, surfboard, Kopaka shields, polarizing. Liwa's tonfas versus an axe is polarizing, and Pohatu's flail, most people, I don't know if are huge fans of, but I think they're all great. So let's really crack into this. What works and what doesn't? Anybody got any thoughts to share?
I think Tahu's sword works immediately.
I think Tahu's sword works as well.
Tahu's sword looks great. I'm not sure how to feel about that big board being used as the shield
Yeah.
for Kopaka.
I honestly, same.
I mean, it kind of makes sense because then you can like slide down
Right. I mean,
icy
like,
slopes.
it's not a terrible idea. I'm just thinking like in terms of a shield, it doesn't really cover much.
I mean,
You know, it's-
neither does his standard buckler. 2001 Kopaka had a tiny little shield with a
Yeah,
bunch
it
of
was
holes
like
in it.
Yeah.
Do you know
Right, I mean,
the
like-
kind of stuff that Captain America can do with his tiny buckler?
I mean, like, yeah,
Okay.
That
Captain
is
America
not
doesn't-
a buckler.
Yeah, Captain
The-
America doesn't have a buckler.
Captain America's shield
You're
is the
a
size
buckler.
that I would have for
Hold on, what's
Kopaka.
a
So I guess
buckler?
it wouldn't be a buckler; it'd be something
Yeah,
else.
a buckler is tiny. It's like
buckler
it's like
is
a
pretty-
fist shield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, fair enough, I guess, yeah.
No, totally. Captain America's shield is the size.
It's a
of
big
what
buckler.
I'd want Kopaka's to have. Yeah, a big buck.
So it's a
Supersized
shield.
buckler.
It's just a circle shield essentially,
I don't
like
know.
a hoplite.
I
So,
actually
I feel like the
really
hoplite's
do
actually a good one.
love the concept of the ski, like the snowboard being his shield, because Var, didn't you mention wanting them to have dual functionality?
Only Tahu,
No,
I thought.
I actually was in one of the concepts that I had is that none of them would have dual functionality except for Tahu. Because a lot of people were complaining that Tahu wasn't that unique compared to the other Ta, and I was thinking, well, maybe a way to remedy that was by giving his weapon a dual function.
I'm fine with
I
that.
think-
I
I
thought
think
the
so.
dual functionality was like kind of a bonus. You know, I didn't think it was much of a necessity when they first
I
started.
mean,
doing
even
it,
if you
so-
wanted to,
yeah.
Kopaka could have that functionality by having like a shield that he could stand, like Frozone, you know. I mean, the Incredibles, how he had the kind of, I don't even know what you call that, but
I
he
know what
used
you
like
mean.
a circular like surfboard essentially to as he skied around.
Definitely.
Which was kind of the idea for
Where's my
Kopaka.
super
The
Where's my buckler?
So this is I guess it's not loading in Discord, it's not embedding,
There it
but
is.
oh, there it is.
It is. It's just taking a
This
while.
this sword that Clay has, obviously it's a lot bigger. I was thinking about
That's
something like
huge.
that.
Yeah, it looks
it's
like
too
something I'd
big.
give Tahu.
But like, yeah, something a little thicker, for example, and then with studs on it, so that Tahu could also attach onto it and surf on.
Well,
so
that, that does have studs on it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That was one stud.
That's
it
enough.
have 2 studs. So well, I guess
I mean,
I'll
really,
keep it.
really
Just
one
have
is enough.
stud.
Yeah,
Yeah,
One
you
is
don't
enough.
need
You're
You
right.
still put
you're
them
right.
on top of one.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can
Okay.
see Tahu
Yeah.
with that mold too. Honestly, I
It
mean,
could
the
be that mold, too.
coloration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So something like that,
No shield.
maybe Uomatu style with the
Right.
stud on it. I think that really works.
Yeah, I could go for that.
For anyone that missed out on last week's episode, we were talking about how the differences between Tahu and Kopaka's fighting stance, and how Tahu is more of a bruiser when it came to his sword fighting. He's got like a larger weapon, 2-handed weapon. He goes in and starts slashing and dashing,
He's more
whereas
of an
Kopaka
offense.
is more of a
Defense.
more of a defensive fighter, I suppose.
That's why I think that the circle shield works, because the circle shield's a bit more. It's a combination of a defensive.
I
and
guess
an
you
offensive
could.
that's
weapon.
I
what
guess
I
you
would
can
think.
also like.
In that case, I would
attack
probably
with a
give.
shield
I would
though.
definitely give Kopaka a spear then. Because
The
with the
spear and
spear,
the-
you
the-
can
yeah,
keep your
'cause-
enemy at range.
Because like a spear or a halberd would be very useful in a defensive situation. Because
halberd,
you can use it through
ooh,
the shield.
Well,
channel my inner dark souls, give him a halberd.
The halberd is like a spear with an axe.
oh yeah, yeah,
Halberd
yeah.
is a
sort of-
good friend
Ah,
to Dark
gotcha.
Souls.
I do
Halberd plus
like
15.
the thing of the spear is that you can fashion the tip of the spear into like an icicle in a sense. I feel like that design aspect would be
Yeah.
kind of cool to have.
My
you
thing
only
is, I
see
just kind of like the idea of Kopaka and Tahu's sword fighting, so I kind of want to give Kopaka a sword. But
You can make up an ice sword.
I mean, we could give him.
You guys
a
remember
rapier.
how? Do you guys ever see that movie Troy and how they had the circle shield?
yeah, I want to
They
give
had,
him a
like,
rapier.
Troy?
Had a little like divot in it.
Troy
And,
didn't.
like what?
Did
Yeah,
you,
Bolton, there
No.
we go.
yeah, I was
Bolton's name.
gonna say.
I thought you're gonna. Yeah, I thought you're gonna.
Yeah, I was gonna say
contribute.
like the battle of like
I
in,
did.
in one of the Game of
So,
Thrones
here.
episodes reminds me of like that where they circle them and they have the spears out.
Right. Like
Yeah.
alright, so this is one of the shields that they had on Troy, where they had a little like indent, I guess, in the circle shield, and then you could put your spear through it or your sword through it. And they actually had a cool scene where like they would hold the shield like with the divot on top or divot, and they put the sword through it. So like you know
Right.
they were kind of fighting with that. You can do that with a minifigure. You can have that pose of a minifigure, but like you know if you're still thinking about the circle shield and that kind of thing.
I can kind of see in regards to your fencing comment, Var. I would actually be really interested to see Kopaka with a sword, specifically in a fencing kind of arrangement.
Right, because I just see Kopaka being sort of a fencer when it comes to like his
Exactly.
Definitely,
His
100%.
sword
And they
fighting.
have
Yeah.
a fencing
I think you could
minifig
kinda-
piece.
Back when we talked about Biocraft, we were talking about the fight styles we wanted each show to have. I remember like Kopaka's the thing for him is that he was kind of a fencer, but like every time he would lunge, he would also like
he would extend
freeze.
it by using his ice
he would-
powers, right?
Exactly. He would like kind of
is pretty
skate
clever.
and lunge at the same time.
Yeah. And see, like I can like see this sort of like sword fight duel between Tahu and Kopaka, where like Tahu's just going at it but misses every strike, and Kopaka's just dodging and weaving.
See,
and you just like poke him a little bit, and then poke him again, and just kind of walk away, and then poke him again, and like do some like twirl without even caring, and then just poke him again. And Tahu's just getting angrier and angrier with each one.
Yeah, see, I can see Tahu like taking a lot of like
essentially
he's
like
a brute. I can see Tahu being more of a brute type fight style where he uses a lot of strength and overwhelms people with like his attacks, and then Kopaka's more of like a fluid fighter that kind of wears out the target and then just pokes at them, like you said.
Right, exactly.
Kopaka literally skate around the target. You know, like, it looks effortless because he's like skating in a sense around them. In the meantime, like Tahu, you know, his strokes are really strong. He's got probably like, you know, like a fire wave comes from the sword and he like smashes it down. You know,
exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like they're all very good.
That's exactly how I envision it in my head personally. So I would like to try and give him some kind of sword that like adapts to that sort of fighting style a little bit more.
Yeah. The fencing sword are like the
rapier.
What do you call it? Rapier. There you go.
Yeah. And the thing is, I would want something like Oomatu posted a pretty cool sword. It's sort of like a rapier, but it looks like more, I guess, more of a sword. I guess I don't really know if there is a word for a more defensive, smaller style sword, but because I don't want to
like
necessarily give him a rapier because like that's kind of not necessarily a fighting sword, you know, like an actual battle. It's more of a like a training sword kind of.
Well, I mean, like to that extent, I think that because like with a broadsword, you have to follow through. You have to put a lot of weight behind that. You have to actually, you know, go with it because the larger your sword is, the more it's going to take you with it. With a rapier, I can see because a lot of fencing is about parrying blows. It's knocking your opponent's sword out of the way quickly and then attacking when you make an opening. So I can see that working very adequately for Kopaka.
I posted an image from Brick Arms of a rapier they did. I feel like it actually works pretty well.
Well, they have a much better. Yeah, it does have an actual blade in that one, but
yeah, no, you're thinking of the Lego one that they have with the little.
I just say what the heck's up with that?
Right?
the only issue is like the
yeah, that is the problem, isn't it? They're gonna want to make it like safe for kids.
Yeah. Additionally, if you look, the handle, it doesn't have anything barring it from putting it outward. You know, like on the end of the hand.
No, I feel like this thing I've actually seen it at. I saw it at a Brick Fair we went, and the tip was very shaved off. It was just like the normal. Oh, you think of like any other sword they have for Lego. It's pretty much the same thing. I don't think they. I think the old rapier they did was just because of like it was an older design they did. If they were to revisit it, they would probably do something more like this.
That could work well.
Possibly.
More Berserk references in the chat.
So many.
Okay.
Sort of maybe like Arya's needle. It's kind of a sword that I'm thinking of, where it's like a smaller, more stabby sword. It's not really meant to like do slashes.
Stick it with the pointy end.
Yeah, stick it with the pointy end. That's basically it. So, I don't know. And I just think a smaller, thinner sword is definitely what I would want for Kopaka versus
Agreed.
the broad
100%.
sword.
I feel like that fits his personality too.
We were posting in
So.
chat like Tahu should have like
I
cloud
also think it'd be-
sword, giant mega sword.
I definitely
Well,
think.
it's gonna look huge on him regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Someone points a comparison to
Yes,
Weiss.
Weiss does use a
that's
rapier.
social.
That is a thing.
Yeah.
But we're probably not gonna give like
That is a
Kopaka dust revolver like components where you can do different elements.
Yeah, no, we're not.
We're
Cool
Things aren't also
design,
gonna
but
be
it's
gun.
probably just gonna be a sword. But yes, that is a comparison.
The one thing that I'm like, I feel like everyone's also on board with, is Gali's hooks.
Oh yeah,
Guys,
hands
hooks
down.
are great. I love
Hands
them to
down, I
death.
feel like that's the best design.
I did see a lot of people saying that they kind of wished that Gali would continue having like the really oversized weapon, like the giant trident or the like a giant like spear type thing. And I can
have one
kind of
giant
see
helmet?
the
Yeah,
appeal
I kind
because
of like the trident.
I did like that look a lot for G2.
Granted, we could also, I mean, who says they need to have the same weapons, all three years?
Yeah, upgrade.
That's true.
Of course.
That could change.
Do it. That'd be great.
So I mean, we're talking about several different designs for weapons. Who knows? We might do something of that later on. The Toa have always gotten new weapons whenever they upgrade for a new year. So.
Yeah, that's true. There's nothing saying that they necessarily need to have a signature weapon that they carry with them every.
I do feel like it does make it like a little better. Like if we should keep the same ideas with their personalities as they go forward with their weapons.
Yeah.
So I don't mind like Onua having like the claws one year and then the claws that also can combine into a hammer the next year.
Good luck making that in minifigure form combination, but yeah.
I know, right? No, I mean it's a predator. Yeah, right. You're right.
Okay, well, that is a thought I do gotta have. Like everybody's mostly on board with Gollies. Tahu and Kopaka, we've got a vision. What about Onua? Claws or hammer?
See, I personally think hammer, but at the same time, claws are pretty easy to do.
I vouch for claws because you can use a claw-like tool to till soil.
Yeah. I don't feel like the hammer really
I'm not
works.
sure we should be adapting the tool aspect of their Toa tools. To be honest,
I'm
Although
just, that's where my head goes when we think about.
Yeah,
the
I
newest
feel like
weapon.
with the new
think
redesigned Earth, the hammer doesn't make as much sense as it used to. I feel like Pohatu should have a hammer.
What if the hammer?
More than Onua.
I mean, like, okay, what if
it really make
the
sense
hammer
before, though?
actually have like a rake at the end of it as well? That's kind of like the claw.
A rake. Huh.
Yeah, here, let me see if I
would
can
be
find a picture
interesting.
of what I'm talking about. But
Yeah, I'm not actually suggesting in the story we see Onua using his claws to till soil. I'm just saying that when I think of this new Onua with the new elemental changes, a claw makes more sense. Oh my gosh.
I suppose, though I'm not really sure how the hammer made sense to begin with, because even with the old element.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that really
Rocks
changes
and
it to me.
crystals.
I mean, I love the hammer.
I'm more under the
but-
mindset that their weapons should be weapons,
I know,
not
but like
tools.
whenever
So
I
I'm
think of
thinking
Onua's hammer, I think of the
weapons,
scene from Journey to One where he's like, because he's really into like crystals and rocks, he has to use the hammer to break through like everything in order to get to Terrak. That's like the scene to me.
Even then, he had that
True,
drill
he
on
did.
the end of
that
it.
was a thing. It was dual purpose.
So, yeah.
You know what? Umatu's photo of Pohatu, he has like the I actually don't know what you call that weapon.
Yeah,
is
the
it
flail. He
flail?
made a big like, character portrait of it, which is great.
Yeah. I like it. Honestly, except for the flail
Come on,
part.
man.
Like I feel like having it like a
guys don't
mace,
like flail.
like a mace on a spear. I feel like that's cool, but the chain part I feel is like excessive, and I don't know how that would work in minifigure form. To be honest,
It would work.
It would,
Like,
yeah,
It would
I'm
work.
pretty sure
It would
there's
just
been.
I don't know.
If you're
Well, I
gonna
mean, I'm
give
just trying to like the
Tahu-
length.
If
Like
you're gonna
you-
give
you
Tahu
have
that massive sword, that chain on a staff piece. I mean, they've done it before.
No, I'm
They
saying that
have.
like the length of the entire like the staff and then having the chain after it.
I mean, just
I
make
feel
the
like it
staff
might be a
shorter.
little.
Make it an actual flail. This is more of a bow staff, which is what the actual file name states. But
I like the bow staff idea. I just think if you just cut off the chain from it, it's actually a really awesome weapon.
There's one concept that Oomatu made that for Onua's hammer that I really like, and it's the one where like the hammer itself is sort of made of like a tree stump, and there's like, a leaf
Oh,
sticking
that
out of
is
it.
cool.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I really love the way it
That
looks.
is cool.
Personally,
the one second from right.
yeah, bottom
Second from right. That actually.
Yeah.
No, I totally get
I
that.
really like that. And
That
I
is
think that fits
interesting.
really well with the new jungle aesthetic. Personally,
It does work well.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I do like this idea that like the Toa fashion their own weapons out of their elements or something related to their elements. In
I'm
a sense.
not so inclined with that idea for a couple of reasons. One, it'd be difficult to do for all of the Toa, and second, I don't really like the idea of them having these
Maybe
hodgepodge
this will be
weapons.
maybe when we like.
I
yeah,
like
when
the
we-
idea
we
of them
define
having
it.
hodgepodge weapons for the first year, and then unlocking their true Toa weapons when they
Right, later
open
on.
the canisters for the first time.
I like the. I mean, maybe just in terms of like it enhancing their weapon. Like Golly, for example, can't form weapons out of water, but she can. She has the bone hooks, the
bones
example,
of a
or maybe
sea
a
creature.
bone hook.
I kind of like.
I don't know.
actually kind of like
The
that
bones of a
because
sea
that
creature.
makes me think of like Breath of the Wild. You go out, you go starting from like a tree branch as a sword to using an actual sword
I mean, like,
freaking Master Sword is waiting for you in like the woods, and you have to go grab it. But in the meantime, you're just using this tree branch, you know.
I mean, sure, we could emulate the most groundbreaking game in the history of video games up until this point.
do it.
But
Yeah, it's
I guess-
like Dark Souls when you're given like a broken hilt.
I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me kill this demon with a blunt hilt.
That works for the game, but are we like in this hypothetical idea? Would this have a game like Breath of the Wild where you play as a
It would have a
Toa?
TV show.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
it's
Like I can see that
progression.
from a game concept, but I'm a bit more inclined with how Generation 1 did it, where their Toa tools would transform generally from something that they have in their hand.
So you're not on board?
What?
Because like up until now, I assumed we were still going with the idea that their weapons are hidden inside the canisters.
I think that should be that should be their upgrade.
That was a concept.
Yeah,
I still want to do with it.
that should be their upgrade for next year.
Either
Yeah, I
right
feel like
out
we
the
should still
gate
do that for
or
like at least
for
one of
next
the
year.
other years.
Yeah, I'd say for next year they get their true Toa weapons, but for this year, the first year, they've got the more hodgepodge weapons.
I mean, like,
Right.
how
'Cause they're not full
hodgepodge
Toa
are we
yet, they're still
talking?
kind of
Yeah,
learning to
because
become the Toa.
the only reason why I bring up
Hodgepodge in the
Zelda
sense that
is
they make the weapons from their environment.
Yeah, the only reason why I bring up Zelda is just to bring up the sort of resourceful aspect.
You gotta
the
be
character.
smart. Okay, well let's think this through. Tahoe can fashion a sword
Like,
out of.
yeah, I'd like to imagine the story.
Tahu comes from a very military background, though, in the region of Mungai, which has got. I would imagine they're probably very skilled at forging weapons. and
Kopaka, we've already
stuff,
spoken
so-
about how he
And,
can
I mean,
like
lava
extend
surfing would
the
probably be-
rapier with ice, so like it can be partially made out of ice or whatever, if not entirely.
Well,
No, I mean,
in
we're
my mind,
extending them,
Kopaka
yeah.
is very adept with fighting already before
Right.
before he becomes a Toa. So his fighting style is only an extension
Okay.
of that.
Onua, whether he has the
So is he like a monk from
Well,
Iron Fist?
He's Iron
My
Fist.
personal pitch was that Kopaka was
Royalty,
royalty.
prince,
So
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
yeah, he was a
But
prince.
Onua-
so-
Uh,
Yeah,
actually knows how to
Onua,
fight.
whether he has the
So,
hammer
okay, so-
or the claws, both
Yes,
can be
actually.
forged.
Yay!
Gale can do the whole bone hook thing pretty easily. I say easily, but like
Yeah, I
he's
feel
just
like that
gonna
makes
like
sense.
rob the corpse of a sea creature and like take its bones.
Essentially, you're right. I mean, like, yeah.
Gali's a soldier,
Alright.
so yes.
Let's think about Liwa and Pahatu. If we're not, let's table the flail for Pahatu because I got a feeling that's gonna be the most controversial. For Liwa, let's get some feedback here.
Why is it always
Because think about it, he's
man?
never had like really. He's never had a
never had a
signature. He had his
signature, really.
feet.
Like-
that was
He's
cool,
got
but
a
like from a
feet-
minifigure perspective,
Feet
that's
was
really
it,
boring.
though.
Feet are a stupid weapon.
Yeah.
Like,
Feet are-
trust
No,
me,
man.
I
Not
like.
necessarily, but
Don't get me wrong. I like the look
Feet
for
are a
Kohaku.
stupid weapon. Tell that to Bruce Lee. Wait, no, he's dead. Tell that to
But Truck the
Chuck
Leaper
Norris,
Captain
I
America,
will.
Winter
I
Soldier.
will tell that to Chuck Norris.
and then watch Chuck Norris roundhouse kick you in
Let's
the
talk
face
about
before
Liwa.
you could finish.
So-
I'm
I
not
know
saying
Leela-
it's ineffective. I'm just saying for Lego, it's not exactly a.
Uomatu
iconic
has
weapon.
proposed several things for Liwa. We have
Make
Liwa's
it one.
swords. We have Liwa's tonfas, which are more like Liwa Uniter. We have some fans, which the idea was tossed around before, and then we can always default back to the Lego done Liwa axe, or like a sword of some kind. I'm not really sure
Yeah.
which is best. I don't like the tonfas because I didn't like them on Liwa Uniter. I think they work well on a minifigure form.
Yeah, I don't really
But-
like the tonfas either.
I really like Umatu's Tonfa axe combination that he
Yes.
made
Yeah.
in his
Agreed.
recent artwork, and I think
That
that honestly
one.
it's perfect.
I
think it's
100% agree. I love. There's nothing I dislike about that piece, especially since you can have it in different orientations,
Yeah, it's got two different
Same.
handles to hold
It's
it. in different
customized.
ways.
Right.
and it's a perfect
It
combination.
looks and it fits in with like the aesthetic of the core.
By
of
the way,
his
can we
building.
just gush for a second about
honestly,
how
I
great
feel
that
like-
image is?
to an
It's
extent.
like,
Oh,
Dude,
Good. It's so good.
seriously,
drops
it's too good.
the regions.
Really annoying.
the one issue I have with it is that it is a tad contrary to our idea as far as what kind of culture we'd be bringing air region from, because that looks a little bit more Nordic than.
It
Yeah,
does.
but honestly, like
I mean,
over time, I
I'm
feel
not,
like
I'm not saying
in the
that's a bad
background-
thing. I was just
I'm not
Yeah, yeah,
necessarily
yeah.
married to our
actually
like,
the thing that
building
really got me
aesthetics.
that really sold me on this idea is the windmills. Once I saw the windmills, I was like, yeah,
What
no,
did we
that makes
say
sense.
about like?
Duh.
What did we say about the wind
City of
village
the Wind.
before? Was it like supposed to be Greek? Okay.
Yeah,
Thing,
that's
I don't
what we agreed.
remember.
He does. Well, he does have
I
elements
was
of
about to
Greek
say whatever's in the
Yeah, I see.
background.
I was about to say, I see
whatever's in the
elements of it.
background there on that other floating island that looks like the kind of like marble columns. Fuck the Greek.
Yeah, built into the side. I like that a lot.
Uomatu's saying in the chat right now that the architecture is based off Mallory Lodges and the ruins are Greek,
Interesting.
which I'm all for.
I don't know
I'm
if we
down
want
for
to
it.
make them marry lodges. They might come after us first.
No, it's cool. It's a great mix.
I'm kidding.
Yeah,
Honestly,
I, like it. think
I
it's
feel
fun.
like I would be 100% down with confirming this as the official kind
And
of
weapon
architecture
design
behind.
because it works
Um,
well.
What do we? What's the name for? What's the name for it again? What's the name for our village of air or
Kauai?
wind?
Kauai, Kauai.
Kauai.
No, it's
Hey,
Kenai,
what-
right?
Koei.
Vin, get your island. Pull it
There's
up.
an N. There's not
Post
a
the
W. It's an
island.
N. There's an N in that name.
Yeah.
There is no one.
Get the island.
Yes, there is. There is definitely an N.
There's not.
I don't think there's an N. It's a U, and you're thinking.
Yeah,
it.
it's a
Memo.
U.
I made the same mistake. That's how I.
The greatest
look this up,
discussion
Guys,
of
I
all
know
time.
there is an N in it.
It's
There is no
KAUAE, right?
Yeah, that is.
Yeah,
Post it.
Yeah, there's no
post
end.
it.
pretty sure it is.
Well,
Okay,
Toast
hold
the
on,
toast.
I'm getting the map.
here, I'm just gonna. There's that.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Kane.
Kane.
Well, then
Kanai.
somebody flipped the N and turned it into a U.
That
Yeah,
there's an
that's
N
not,
there.
I
that's
butchered
not
my
what
joke.
we
Plus
said
Kane,
before.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. You got it wrong when you put the U there. There's no U. There's an N. There's an N there. It's Kanai.
I do understand the disparity because there is the map, and that does look
Right.
like a U.
The map probably got it wrong too.
I didn't. Yeah, to be honest, I don't know the validity of the online map. I'd need to check the one on my wall to see if it holds true. But
No, I mean listen, that is clearly a U. I don't
It's
know,
a U in the map.
It's 100% a U.
But
yeah, so it.
Oh yeah, no, the actual
But fair,
map
okay.
has an
Yeah,
N.
yeah. Well, I mean, when I wrote the stuff, I based it. I looked at the map and I got the thing. So,
Right, but the
what do you
map
want to
is
say?
wrong.
Do we want to use the N or no?
I think we should be using the N personally.
Kane-
That's what it
Kane-
actually
Just
is.
from a
Yeah, Kane sounds
pronunciation
better.
perspective, Kane sounds better than Kawe to me. Like it's got
Yeah.
better
Yeah.
flow.
Honestly,
Yep.
I vouch
Same.
for Kane
I
because
kinda
every
like
time we say
Kawaii a little
Kawaii,
bit.
I think of Genji.
Really?
I
miss
think
the
of the
old
the
Kanye.
Mandarin in Iron Man 3 where they wake him up.
Yeah,
He's
I don't
like-
wanna
I mean,
name
I
this
will say,
after
I will,
Kanye.
I will say, Kauai sounds like an actual
Kawe,
place,
yeah,
though.
it does.
Yeah, I really do.
Travel
like
to
the sound
Kauai.
of Kauai.
And Kane's reminds me of Danae
No, I've got.
as well. which
Yeah,
is a name
I'm
I
even
personally
more in
know.
favor of Kane because I just checked the map on my wall. It is spelled with an N, so the online version is the inaccuracy.
I checked my map as
Wow.
well.
Good. I'm glad.
And I already confirmed it before you did, so you suck.
I'm sorry.
Savage.
You wouldn't have that map if it wasn't for me,
Failed.
Vin.
9 seasons.
We're gonna get relationships with Toa more. It
97
takes
more
9 more
episodes.
generations. We're gonna cancel it 9 more times.
Guys, stay appropriate to our target audience.
You stay appropriate.
I'm not driven by avenging my deadline.
But yeah, Kane.
Yeah. We don't care about Bionicle. That was fake. We just want relationships, Morty.
We
We gotta make sure we pronounce it right, though. It's Kanai.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Kanai.
Kanai is the region of air.
I Kanai even
Win.
right now with this conversation.
So
Wow.
Kanai is where
Fine.
he
You're
was
so
from. Anyway,
conniving.
so I think the concept for Kanai, honestly, is the most well realized of them all so far. I feel like the weapons are good, the architecture's good, the ruins are good. I'm really in favor of
Excellent.
Leo's location at the
Well, in
moment.
that
Same.
case,
Yep. Agreed.
What's Mark?
There's no
Mark-
changes I feel like we
in
need to
that
make.
case, let's get to the
Terrific.
biggest hurdle here we gotta overcome. The most controversial thing, Pohatu. Because in his past, he's had feet, claws, propellers, boomerangs, and a flail. Do we want to pull from one
Boomerangs.
or two of those ideas, or just do a new thing?
Boomerangs is the only one that I like.
Okay.
All the
I
other
like
ones are.
boomerangs too.
I actually
Very meh.
disagree slightly, but I'm open to you changing my mind as
I
you
do
often
like
do.
I do like Umatu's like thing with
I
the bow staff. I don't hate it. I actually think it's a cool idea.
I think it's a cool idea, but I'm a little more in favor of the claws, provided one thing is brought over, and that is the claw's ability to form a sphere, or at least a spherical general shape, because
How?
Pohatu's other kind of iconic weapon
ball.
was a
That's
boulder.
If he had the
Exactly.
claws and the little
But
feet
how would
add-ons
you
like
do
Harley
that?
Quinn, and then he could like
Like I
combine
said.
it and then like kick it around. That'd be cool.
Because, like, I mean, Lego tried to convince me that its claws before could turn into a spear, and honestly, I saw that spear. It wasn't a
No,
spear.
it was
It
not.
wasn't a ball.
It wasn't a
which
ball
was
either. Yeah,
spear.
no. And
But
Pohatu
Pohatu
knew
knew the
that.
claws.
Yeah.
It did not
It
look
was
like
a good
ball at
effort.
all.
I don't know.
Right.
I liked that
I mean,
idea.
the way it would
personally.
have to be done is you would have to have the two pieces, the claws, the indentation would like, whereas Pohatu's Potanuva is just kind of clipped on the same side, down the middle. But I would imagine the minifigure would flip it around, so like the claw on one side would fit into the hand connector for the other claw, and then vice versa, and then you could like pull them apart. But I don't know how that would work really. It's like a yin-yang kind of a thing, the yin-yang symbol. But connecting that would be quite bootleg, I would imagine. It's the kind of thing that I could never conceptualize myself. I need to see it in action.
I don't necessarily mind the mace idea.
Mace is cool. Mace works
That's
with
well.
stone.
I mean, the bow staff with the mace. That's what I'm thinking. Essentially, the mace is like would be the tip of what Oomatu's drawn here, like that with the crystals jutting out of the
it would
stone.
certainly look distinct. I don't know. Pohatu's tricky. Because Pohatu, I feel, is the one he doesn't really have, like, that single iconic thing. He's been changed around so much over the years.
Yeah. A lot of people are suggesting pickaxe in the
That'd
topic,
work.
and honestly, I don't like that idea because
Nah, I don't
pickaxe
like
is
it.
not a weapon.
Yeah. It,
No, unless you make it one.
Especially
It's
if
not
we're on
really
the
an effective
hodgepodge
one,
thing,
though.
a pickaxe could work well.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, a pickaxe.
It's like you
could-
can use that as a weapon, like how you basically use anything that you swing as a weapon. Like, sure,
I can
it
picture
will
a very
hurt.
visceral,
but-
brutal,
Yeah.
bloody, violent fighting style with Pohatu and the pickaxe wielder, and they
Yeah,
never
I
do
mean,
it in Lego,
you can
so it's
use
kind
a
of pointless.
screwdriver to kill
Can you just
someone.
picture
I
him
don't
running
know.
around
I do
like
not
impaling
like the
people
idea.
and like cutting off their heads with like the side of the pickaxe?
It's like
The
it's like
only-
the
it's
tomahawk.
like- the only
Well, you
argument
can
I
make the
can
pickaxe
see
look like
yeah,
a
people-
blade,
pickaxe,
maybe,
you know,
or like a.
I can see the argument for pickaxe being made because a pickaxe is a tool, but so is a scythe. It's a
Yeah, I was
gardening
gonna say
tool.
the scythe is essentially a pickaxe, but weaponized.
Yeah, none of our
Scythes are very ineffective.
I know. I'm just
Unless
saying.
they're gun scythes. And even then, kind of ineffective.
I don't know. I'm
Wow.
definitely not in favor of Pohatu having a pickaxe or any of them. I made the joke
well-
a little while ago when we were talking off recording. Oh yeah, Onua should have a shovel. But no.
Or it's Shovel Knight.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
one of them will have diamond.
I
armor.
think that there's a lot of people that really want to incorporate aspects of their homeland like as tools into their weapons, but personally speaking, I don't really want to do that, and I also don't. I think it's totally plausible that they would have weapons in their homelands with their tools because there are still Rahi in this world that they would have to fight
This
off
is
against.
true.
So, weapons still need to be used for, weaponing.
Yeah.
Happening.
Let's
I feel
just-
like, I mean, even with a bow staff, like
A
I feel like that fits
weaponing,
Alila more than anything else.
the
But it might be my
sickening.
my last Airbender, like
Yeah, that's a little
Yeah.
thing
influence
seeping
there.
in.
Let's just give
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was
Pohatu
about to
a
say,
little bit
let's give him like
Like
flick
those
fire
little stud
missiles,
shooters.
two guns.
Give him a blunderbuss.
2 guns.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's
I
a
did
big
kind of
one
like
down
the.
I would actually.
I did kind of like the Scimitar.
I would be on
suggestion.
board
That
with
looks pretty
Pohatu as
cool.
having a blunderbuss. Phweffie, not gonna lie, that would be great actually.
Just
of
imagine
the
it's like
pirate
that scene
sword.
from Indiana Jones where they pull out the sword and he just shoots him.
Let's give him a hatchet.
A
He have like a disc, like a Tron, you know?
Hatchet. No, actually, let's give him a tomahawk because I like tomahawks.
Me too.
No other reasoning.
I mean,
other than that.
Leo should have a tomahawk.
I
We're
like
gonna
the
give someone a
the
tomahawk.
double-bladed swords. Kusel suggested in the live studio audience. That looks neato.
It looks
I can see
neat, but
that.
I feel like if we already have
That's
two
the thing with me.
characters with
Pohatu has
swords,
to
we
have
should leave it
something
at
to
that.
do with stone. If it's either a mace with like a stone on the end, or the flail that has the stone on the end and then the other part, or the shoes that can kick a rock around. Something of that kind.
I feel like the mace is either the mace or like the bow staff with the mace end are our best bets because it does look like you could take a staff and form the rock at the end of that. I feel like that's a combination of using something that he already has and also using his element with it.
Great chip.
Okay. I mean, I think in that instance the mace works the best to me. But
Fair enough.
I would say the same.
It's a
Can
a
we
little
have
more
the mace
simplistic,
put in to
I
detach
guess.
to form his rock that he can kick around? Because that's a great
Sure.
compromise.
No,
Well, I mean,
never
like
mess
actually,
up.
that
I
would
just
be
don't.
that would be interesting if you had the bow staff and you could still have a staff and also a rock that you could kick around,
That would
and
be
then like it turn. So we take this. I'm gonna copy this again. We take this essentially. The top part, the rock part, is like shortened, made into like actually more like a ball.
Stone. Yeah,
A stone, and then you can detach it from the staff, and so he still has a staff, and he can use the ball, or you can like
That would
join
be
it
cool.
together.
Well, I'd
and then
do a
use it.
bow staff
It's
master.
like magnetic.
Like
Maybe
a
it just
bow
like
staff mace kind of thing.
I've never
Actually,
really
it-
seen like what would a long-handled mace.
yeah. I
look
was
like,
just
though?
thinking like if you guys
Like
watched
I mean, like
Hellboy
that
2,
concept art. But let me see.
Was that
Well,
fun?
yeah, but like
What,
I'm wondering
what's
how
that?
that would be used.
Well, basically, there's this antagonist from Hellboy 2, and they have a fist that they've got a massive, like, ring of chains, so they're able to fling their fist, like, long distances, but they can still drag it back.
What are they called?
I don't know what it's called. It's
Like a
made-up
lasso?
weapon.
A chain lasso?
Yeah, almost like it's a chain attached inside of like let's say this mace, and it flings out and then it can be dragged back in. So it can be used as a mace, but it can also
Yeah, I know
have-
what you're talking about. It's like
kind of like a lasso.
it's like a-
Yeah, like
yeah, kind of like a
what,
lasso.
like what cowboys use to bring in cows, but attached to it like
We
a
should make
stick.
Bahatu a cowboy.
I agree
The
with
body
this one.
herder walking around.
Mahi herder.
Yeah, I would love him to be a cowboy.
you
I
could
want him to
farm
have dual
Mahi,
blender
right.
buses.
Let's give him a lasso.
Lar,
Yeah.
I posted
great.
a thing of like the war mace that some people carry around. So that's how a long-handed mace would look. It's actually a
Okay.
common thing in fantasy. So
Well, I mean, I didn't doubt how it looked. I'm doubting how the fighting looks.
right,
That's what I don't know what it looks like.
it'd be like I mean, partially kind of like how you would fight with a long-handed warhammer, except the top
Let's
is a bit
give
more
him
deadly.
gauntlets.
Okay.
Go
I mean, that
on.
works for me. I've got no
Go
complaints.
on, man. I'm curious.
Yeah, instead of giving him big feet, let's give him big hands. We have a gauntlet piece.
Yeah, it's more kind
Give
of.
him
a
a-
I've got a great mental image of like
Giant
kind of like how Inui
hands.
did it in G2 carving through the earth, but like Bahadur needs to clear a mountain, so he just gets out his gauntlets and just punches the stone until it like breaks down. Like he's like Doom
Exactly.
Fist just punching.
Yeah.
That would be killer.
Honestly, I mean, like if we're gonna give gauntlets to everyone, we should keep that for a future Onua concept. I feel like Onua has traditionally had a gauntlet or claw
fun.
thing with him.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, but
That-
does
that's-
he really need
Lee was
it
traditionally been a guy, so
I mean,
Things can
fair.
change.
That's you're right.
What
that's fair.
the? Wyden just posted the whip
I don't
gun.
see it fitting Pahatu then.
What in the world is that?
It's
nope.
Okay.
I
Scorpion
I-
Strike
Whip
suggests the
gun.
frying pan.
I think
from
let's
Rapunzel.
just stick with the
Rapunzel.
mace. I think that's the best
mace.
option so
Yeah.
far.
That's fine.
The mace and the staff, or just the mace?
Yeah,
Okay.
Mace won the
That's fine.
race.
Okay.
ah
Oh my gosh.
lame.
No, I agree with Scorpion Strike. Let's give him a
That
frying
would be
pan.
interesting.
Deadly weapon.
So is it Pahatu the cook? He could be the cook though. He could totally be the cook.
We should give him a shovel.
Oh, dude, he'll be the
Shovel
cook. He'll
trouble.
use his legs to fight.
It's like Ignis, Final Fantasy.
All right. Well.
Anyway,
yes, Wadon.
all right. I think that's everyone, right?
Yeah, we
As
gotta
far as the
refine
weapons?
this stuff. Like,
Nope.
but yeah, that's the core values.
Get some concepts in there, but
We
that's
know
basically
the
what we're going
themes.
for. Okay.
All right.
All right, congrats. Thank you,
All right,
Oomatu.
so-
Thank you for the springboard. You saved us yet again.
This is a great idea. This is probably how people do it with concept art. Concept art's provided, then people talk
Yeah,
about it
that
in the
is
story.
the point of
room.
it.
Like, well, do we
Concept
use
art
this?
is
Do
an
we want this?
invaluable tool.
So this is again, it's like this is a look into how we think. It's hard to
definitely.
do.
We really, at
With a
some
line like
point,
this.
should bring on one of the designers if they'd humor us. Get
Oh,
their
I'd love that. I mean,
That'd be
like
pretty cool.
we could. Yeah, I don't know.
All right,
See what strings we can find.
what's next? We ain't done yet.
So next we discussed the weapons. It's really just about a tiny bit of world building, but mostly set
Okay.
design here.
into
In regards
this.
to the Toa and their physical relationship, I guess, or in the sense of like how they
And size.
how they look,
Their physical
in
relationships and
size,
size.
yes, to
Yes.
our
This was a
Matoran
topic
characters.
that came up on the message boards a little bit ago. Well, not a topic. It's more a discussion that came up in the BIONICLE design topic. And I'm going to link that in the description below so you can all read like the initial spark of this conversation. I bet that's where it's going to be concentrated, or maybe we'll do a poll. I don't know. Either way, it'll be linked. And we were talking about it amongst ourselves yesterday, and it's an interesting thought. Would the Toa and the Matoran be the same size or different sizes? Now, before we even say a word, I'm curious what our live studio audience thinks, just off the top of your head. And just post it. Everybody, just rapid fire. Just go.
Rapid fire.
Wow, and immediately
Same size, different size, different size, different size,
different size.
different size.
Different size.
So a slightly
I thought we
taller.
were all
Okay.
on the same page here.
Same size. Walt says.
Same size.
Okay.
All midgets. Okay. I think this is an interesting one because
midgets.
we were kind of on the same page. I'm against having them all the same size.
I'm mostly
I'm very
against
for
it,
it.
I am
but
as
I
well.
give you a few
I'm
things
interested.
To think about.
I'm interested in hearing. Okay, so here's a couple things to think about. Okay, so the
I'm
first thing
against
to
it, but I'm
think
not
about.
married to it, so like,
Yeah.
you could convince me otherwise.
The same. I'm not, like I'm against it just because of the thing. The thing is, all right, we decided to do System Bionicle because we want to do a bit more world building. Feel like if you have the bit more world building it desires. Now, Var, you brought up a point last night. Our sets are mostly going to have the Toa. That's fair. But the two things we can do to make a shorter character, the only two sizes are the Hobbit style, which I call the Hobbit style. It was used before the Hobbit, but like the kid style essentially, where it's like the legs are stationary. They're just basically one piece. You put a normal sized torso and head on top of that.
Finally
Or
found
you can do the Nexo Knights little robot style that they have. And I dislike both of those for two reasons. One, it's the majority of the villagers, 90% of our population on this island is going to be this size. And I don't like the idea of either taking articulation away from them or giving them, like, not having
Making them look
a
different,
torso.
like they're
Yeah,
different species.
right. I want to hear from you guys why you think the Toa have to be a different size. Because I don't know why, but I'm interested to see like if you guys have something that can sway me on that. I don't see why, but you guys
I
might
see
have
it as more of an immediately recognizable sense that the Toa are more powerful and stronger and able to easily defend our Matoran inhabitants because that physically they are already like immediately more effective.
I think it's an important visual.
It's a really clear visual balance of power.
I'm not against that per se. But I for me that's like, is that a good enough reason to take away articulation from 90% of the population?
Well, I mean,
that have it as well?
see it. That's why I'm not suggesting giving them the Hobbit feat. I would hope that if LEGO were to do this, they would try and give them a posable
Well,
feat.
it does exist.
Yeah.
And
it exists
okay,
in a
so-
way that I bet
Right.
like some of you wouldn't necessarily be happy with. We can see it all the way back into our BIONICLE contest for a certain entry, Attack at the Temple of Earth by, let me get the person's username because I want to give proper credit to them, by Takutanuva Mox. He entered it into our BIONICLE contest, and I know you guys may have differing thoughts on exactly the execution, but you can't deny that the feat can articulate. And the reason is because it uses the skeleton torso. Which I know you guys...
Well, no, it doesn't use the skeleton torso.
That's because, like,
know.
he did
No.
something to make that work, but the actual, like, Lego minifigure, that foot piece, I believe, was engineered for the skeleton torso, because it's one of few that has that attachment.
Right.
I'm not sure how he got it to work in that LDD model. But it does exist, and you can put armor over that to hide the skeleton we saw with HF. Whether you think it was done well or not, TBD, you can do it better. You can make new parts, you can make better armor coverage, and you can have those feet. It's a compromise.
Right. Okay, so here's the thing that we're coming across. Again, we are dealing with, when we made Onua the Axel fig, we stuck close to that design, even though we were pretty sure that LEGO would create a different design for the arms, especially if they were to do an Onua fig. But that's what we have to work with right now. So right now, are we going to assume that LEGO is going to do these different leg pieces?
I mean, to me,
for
it
the midget
depends.
size?
It absolutely depends on how many Matoran characters are going to be included in the sets.
Well, I feel I suggested the other day that like part of the whole thing with Bionicle be having
Google
the,
Man just posted the hip element
Got
that
it.
was used in that.
Yeah, that makes me even more inclined because that leg piece, the small leg piece right now, is most notably being used for the Nexonite, like little robot dudes that help out the knights.
Right. Okay.
And
Hold up.
if that is an actual working piece, I'm even more in favor of making them a different size
because it's
of
best
that
of both
visual,
worlds.
immediate look.
Well, okay. So let me ask you this. This is the solution that I thought of last night when it comes to the size. Would you guys be opposed then if you want to make the Toa taller than the Matoran, which I'm not necessarily opposed to? Would you be opposed to giving him like small foot extensions like Harley Quinn?
Not
So
necessarily
that they do
opposed.
stand taller than the Matoran,
If
but they
it-
don't
if
lose
It's
it's
their
difficult for me to
good,
visualize how
then
that would
sure.
look, but no, I'm not opposed on principle. It would just need to look good and not awkward.
Yeah, right.
I think
No,
that
it's fair.
is the more extreme option here because that is a direct modification of the minifigure. I think the easier and better solution is to just make the Matoran smaller.
Wait, I mean, you're saying that's not a direct modification to the minifigure?
Well, I mean, because the thing is, the Toa are going to be the main minifigures, so like to add this extension to every single Toa minifigure in every set would already increase the price of our pretty expensive Toa minifigures as it is.
Right. I just feel like
That's
feel
true.
like the Hobbit figs or having other things kind of devalues
Well,
the.
we've
Well,
already
yeah, but we're-
established
we're-
that we can work
Yeah,
around
that's
that.
that's
To
not
be
what
fair,
we'd
the
be
discussion
going
we
for,
had
though.
yesterday was done before this hip element was discovered and posted. That could change
Right.
things. The discussion we were having yesterday, it was solely
that could
between
change things.
Hobbit style, new mold, or all same size. Those were our three options. Now we have a fourth option, so I don't know.
Yeah.
That might be the compromise.
My thing is,
The
I
fourth
would
option may be
hope
possible.
that if LEGO were to do this, that they could make a new element that looks like the Hobbit legs, but has the same articulation that the normal minifigure has. And there are fan modifications out there that do look like this. They
That is
exist.
true.
There are purchasable pieces that you can get off like
Right.
Shapeways and everything. So it's something that can be done. I would hope that LEGO would do it if they were going to use this piece for our
I
Matoran.
honestly-
And it's only one new element that they would have to make, and it's
It's-
one element that they would make for this line that could be used for tons of different lines.
The thing that
Boogeyman
actually
just
really got
posted
me-
exactly what I'm talking about.
I don't know why Lego didn't do this for the Hobbit. I was sure that when the Hobbit was going to come out, that they were going to make the short legs that can
Definitely.
be articulated, a regular
think.
thing. Okay, so here's some other things to think about. We can't, if we're going to do this, that means that there isn't another way to do a child Matoran.
Okay,
We wanted
yeah.
to have
So
that.
this was a point that was brought up yesterday outside of recording too. How like
Right.
there's no way to do a variance between children Matoran and adult Matoran.
Right.
I can't really think of an instance where we would need both. To be honest, I can't think of any child Matoran that we're going to have in our sets.
Yeah, like if you're gonna have
Well-
them on a TV show, you can make that difference noticeable in the voice, or maybe you can modify the 3D model. In a set,
Give
how
them a
many
smaller
children,
torso or something.
Exactly. How many children are you gonna have in sets? How vital?
Well,
are
I
they
mean,
gonna
it's
be?
not just in sets. I mean, like my main thing is that I'm not vehemently against the size difference. I just don't see it as being that noticeable to work everything around. I don't think it's that important. Like, I mean, the Lego just doesn't necessarily have the capability to do a normal looking minifigure of different sizes. And really, I don't see why it would be so bad if they were all the same size. I don't think we really lose.
Here's
in
the
that.
thing: you lose the reason for the Toa being so valuable. The reason why the Matoran constantly look up to the Toa is because not only
They literally can.
because of the
have to,
physical
but the Toa are so much stronger. They're so much more abled than the Matoran.
I mean-
they're taller, longer legs, longer arms, the ability to control the elements, more mobility.
It represents their significance a little bit better.
Exactly.
Well, I mean,
They are
I'm
visually
not going to
bigger
say
than-
that it doesn't. I'm saying that is that really needed?
It
though?
is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't think it. I don't
This
think
is
it is
one of
any
my-
more than
this is
like
one of my
any more than
main
saying that the
arguments
people in
as to
Ninjago
why
can't.
The golden years were so vital to the visual enhancement of like a village concept because you had very designated classes. You had the villager, you had the elder, and then you had the warrior, the hero.
I'd like to think that one of the best methods to storytelling is what you can show just through visuals.
Exactly. Show don't tell.
No, you're right, but I don't think that that's like saying that the people don't look up to the Ninjago, for example, because
They
they're not
don't.
shorter than them.
who
They're
looks up to
joke.
the ninja and Ninjago. In fact,
The
there
ninja
are
are
several
celebrities.
episodes where they immediately flop their attachment to the ninja to someone else, like the
Or
Samurai
they're
X,
being
for
hunted
instance.
down as wanted criminals, or they're stuck in a dead-end teaching job.
Yeah, the ninja are worthless in their own universe.
Sure, I mean, like
They were
in the-
only
in-
revered in Skyrim.
What I'm saying necessarily, I mean, like essentially, what I'm saying is that like I don't think that they need necessarily to be bigger to have
I mean,
what
you
you're
don't.
saying. The relationship
There's
between
an easy
looking up to
solution
Toa,
that
I
I'd
don't think
say
that
to
needs
maintain the
happen.
visual difference, but we're not going to do it because we've already discussed it. The Matoran don't have armor, the Toa do, which makes them beefier. But that we're not doing that.
Yes, but we're not doing
yeah.
There you go. We're doing it right now.
We're not doing it for the first year.
that would be the
could.
easy way to
sure.
make the
But-
difference notable when they're the same size.
Well, I mean, like that could be.
We
the
also probably
progression,
won't
though.
have any Matoran sets in the first year, right? Matoran minifigures, because the villages are literally frozen.
Highly unlikely.
Which I also feel
Well, I
like.
mean, we could, depending
okay,
on, like, the
admittedly, the
characters
more
that
we
we
go
do.
on with this pitch, the more I'm like second guessing the whole village being frozen thing, because I do feel it's counterproductive to what we were initially saying. Like G3 would be about to have an entire year that's not representative of how the theme would actually be. It would be opening on the wrong foot, basically. Because don't get me wrong, I agree
No,
with what was
that's
discussed
fair.
yesterday. I don't think we should have like every single set be chock full of Matoran. The Toa are the protagonists. Most sets will be
Right,
Toa
right,
and
right,
villain.
right.
But I do feel like when we were initially pitching System Bionicle, the whole like I am with Kai. The world aspect
Right.
was the core. It was the thing. When we picked our winners for the contest, that was the thing. That was the defining factor.
Right.
I agree and I disagree in a sense because obviously we wouldn't be able to completely represent a set being frozen.
True.
So we don't need to exclude.
I am
Matoran.
remembering we did have
They
a
can still
prior
be there.
conversation now about having sets based off the villages in the first year, and I was like, "Are they canon?
Right, right.
We're gonna
No, I
skip
actually-
the whole battle."
I
mean,
think so.
It's also
I
under
think
the
so.
assumption that the villages are going to be frozen.
Yeah, which they're
all
not.
year,
The plot of the
which
year
I'm
is
not
unfreezing them, so
thinking
you
it
could
would
easily
be.
have a
Yeah.
set like
Right.
a Lee Koro Village Siege. Oh, sorry, Lee Koro. Kanai Village Siege, and it's like the Rakshi versus Leva and like two Matoran. So I don't know.
Right. I also don't think we were planning on immediately freezing the villages either upon the story's
That is
beginning.
correct.
Yeah, I guess there's
Yeah.
a window.
I don't know. So Kahi,
Well,
to
we
bring
can
it back
talk a
to
bit about
the
that more.
size of the Matoran,
Right.
give me your solution to visually immediately explaining the status, the social difference and status between a Toa and Matoran if they're the same size.
The Nuva symbols on their chest.
That's it.
I mean, yeah, I don't think. I think it was honestly like I just liked how in Bionicle the Toa were like twice the size of Matoran. I felt that was
Excessive.
Kind of like, I mean, you look at like how the Mechtoran are to the original Toa in L1.
I mean,
that's
I
pretty
completely
excessive.
agree. That's
a little
even
too much.
more why I want to
Granted,
do the minifigure
minifigure
thing,
form
because it's less of a.
Yeah, in minifigure form, it's not going to be that drastic. But I do feel like that the Toa are necessarily their villagers given powers. They don't necessarily need to be larger. They don't need to be towering over the Matoran. From the perspective that we're giving him, the Toa are not, in our pitch, they're not the saviors that come from another world to the island to then save everybody from them.
I don't
They-
In
think
this one, they are normal villagers who
They're
are
not
given
they're not
power.
the saviors that come from another world, but they're the saviors chosen by the gods of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying,
I mean,
I'm
it's
saying
still
that like
pretty
I think what
similar.
Kai is getting at
I know,
more
I'm
is
saying that
like
the
it's kinda
size
like
isn't
the
like-
Akimu problem from G2. He got powered up. Why did that mean he had to double in size? Was it really necessary? It's like I don't know.
I mean,
Well, I don't think they need a double. in
Yeah,
size
of course
either.
not. It's much more subtle than
yeah.
that.
Here's my thing. Construction does it one way, and I still think that's fine because it's the
That's the beauty of
problem
it,
I
it's
have with
more
that solution is the same problem I have with another suggestion that was on our boards. People suggested that the difference you would use is that the Toa would have markings on their mask, and the villagers wouldn't. The problem with that
I
is
also-
you then
yeah, I
have
think
to
it's-
explain what that means. If you can't visually show it and people understand there's an immediate physical difference based on something that has to be important, I think you're not doing it right.
Well, I wouldn't say that at all. No, there's a lot of other fiction where that's not the case.
I mean, there's a
Oh,
lot
I
of
mean,
other
you mean-
fiction where a lot of things are a certain way, or they aren't.
No,
a certain way.
I know.
That's-
I'm saying that like you're saying that like you can't show it visually.
There's
doesn't
other
count.
fiction
I mean,
where
look
there
at
was a
look at the
guy.
world of look at the world of the Last Airbender, for example. None of them necessarily stand out in terms of physical form larger than the
And
others.
they're
They
all
just
human.
have the elemental abilities.
These guys
Yeah,
are not.
right.
they're also
Hashtag
not all that
humanical.
impressive other than Aang.
Don't you dare.
Humonical.
No, I mean like
get Lady
I
K
feel
in
like
here.
that while I don't feel like they should be human, I do think they should, they should be closer to human than any incarnation of Bionicle yet. I also don't think,
disagree.
I think that we would create different armor for them, but the general design of the Matoran and everything, I feel like that can set the Toa apart. The Matoran would all have like simpler armor.
But then you
they would
have to
mostly
explain.
cloth, and I don't
And
see
that
why you have to
defeats the
explain.
Well, no, I'm not sure about the explanation
Yeah.
there in regards to like simpler armor versus like.
Yeah, if you have more complex armor,
sorry,
you're...
I misheard that. I thought we were still on the printing. Sorry, yeah.
No, I mean, like, no, the
Tangentially
printing
related
would be
to this
the
discussion
Part of
about
that, though.
Matoran,
It's part of that.
Our live studio audience member Oomatu asks, will the Matoran have varying masks? To which I say, nope, we're going to do it just like G2. We're going to make one mask model. They're all going to have it. Copy paste it a billion
Oh
times.
wow.
No, I'm kidding. Yes, they're going to have different masks.
Yeah, I think we also made the suggestion of making female and male
Yes,
versions
that was the
of the
thing,
masks
so.
too.
Continue on.
That was a suggestion that kind of got passed around.
Yeah,
I don't know how many molds that would be, but I do think that's
It'd be 12.
I feel like that'd be unnecessary.
Carry on with Conva. Just
Yeah, it
wanted to
might
bring
be.
that up.
Right. I'd honestly, if we're gonna do 12 different molds, I would rather have 12 different masks as opposed to just 6 with
Sure.
a tiny variation. But that's just me for right now. My thing really is I don't disagree with what you guys are saying with the size necessarily. I just don't see it as that important. I think we can get away with it by making things simpler in the Matoran end, and we can keep the articulation and everything general for the Matoran that we already have. To me, the sizes, I mean, I can get why you would kind of want that, but I'm not going to say it's worth the sacrifice we're going to have to do, the roundabout things we're going to have to do to make that, when we can just have the Toa be Toa have a bit more complex designs, more elemental markings on them, and eventually armor as we go. Like in the next year or two, they're going to get armor. So the Toa are going to become more and more. And in addition with the weapons too, we're talking about how right now the Toa initially, they're mostly the villager selves, and they have like the weapon, and then they get the canisters, and then they upgrade from there. The villagers aren't going to do that. The villagers are going to remain the same. So this is the part of their growth as Toa is going from villager to these legendary warriors at the end.
I don't know. I think that if Generation 1 had done that and made the Matoran the same size as Toa, it would have defeated the point of a Toa.
I wouldn't
I'm
go
all
so far to say
bummed
that, but it's a separate argument.
outside of
We're
that-
not talking about what G1
I
should have
would,
done.
but then again, it's also from a construction standpoint, it makes the set itself less significant when
Right.
the main character you're getting is the same size.
I'm a little
as
bummed
the
out at
junior
this
character.
convo and how it had to turn out this way, because
agree
I
with
was
that.
all ready to have like a knockdown, drag-out debate where my perspectives were shifted and convinced, but like, there's no other,
I really hate
there's
that.
no other option for me besides the hip piece. I feel the discussion's irrelevant when we can have the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
agree.
the hip piece is interesting to me. I'd like to see how that looks. I'm not essentially like
how it
super
looks.
sold on it yet.
Yeah, examples were posted how it looks.
Well, I mean, like I see how it looks in the normal thing. I want to see how it looks like the printing on it. This is the printing.
What do you mean?
I mean, he wants to see what it looks like with a Matoran skin on it.
Fair.
Right.
That makes
Because I'm
sense.
gonna have a blank.
I guess.
I'm not. I mean, like I'm not opposed to using that, but I don't see the need to. That's what I'm getting at. But I feel like we can get away with
I don't
just having
think that the
Matoran be
Matoran are
same.
going to be a significant enough part of sets to warrant making them the same size.
Well,
I think that
kinda-
argument could be flipped around. They're not going to be
Yeah.
a significant part of the set, so why make a new piece
It's not
for
a new
them?
piece.
I suppose
It
that's
exists.
fair.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I mean, I would prefer
And I mean,
the
like,
new
there's
piece.
also-
like the thing you were posting about like having hobbit legs that can articulate. That would be better because the skeleton leg piece is more fragile than a normal minifigure connection. The skeleton pieces break,
Mm-hmm.
but if it had to be done that way, that's the best of both worlds. And I mean, in our hypothetical world, let's just do a remodel of the socket or whatever. But obviously, I would prefer it if they just make normal legs that could bend. And if we want to do that, I mean, we should have a
Right.
discussion in the future about allocating a new piece budget based on realism, and we should take a look at some of the other Big Bang themes and gauge like how many new pieces could they use.
Yeah.
But that's for the future.
I mean,
I
here's
will
the
say,
thing, Lego.
I thought the lesser skinned versions was a terrible idea. When someone suggested on the boards, they're like, "Well, just give the Matoran less extravagant like patterns and everything, and dumb it down a little bit, and that'll work." I thought that was really dumb. But Buchelman, who is on a roll today for posting convincing things, I guess, did post this comparison between a knight minifigure and like a little like plebeian minifigure, and the difference how they both have the exact same size and same helmet, but one clearly looks more important than the other one.
Of course, I also feel like that's the cape.
Yeah, that is.
It's the illusion.
Sure, I mean it's all the
cape's the
additional
biggest thing
things
that
to it.
stands out
Fair,
to
but
me.
like I'm saying that like
not
visually.
just the cape, but the pattern and the coloring too.
No, I know.
Like, there's
Yeah,
something
this
I know
guy's
there's
got
a
leg
big thing,
printing,
but like
the
when
other
I
guy
look at it,
doesn't,
I
he's
can
got
tell there
printing
are
on his
differences. The
helmet.
only thing that immediately leapt out at me was he has a cape. Everything else was upon closer inspection.
Sure. But I mean, like the what I'm saying is that like you can visually set the Toa apart without having to make them smaller. I don't think that those two tie in together. I think you can.
There's only one way forward. The path is open. Now we have
there's
to
only
choose.
one way forward.
I think the only way to really settle on this is to go ahead and start making our Matoran skins and seeing how they look on both torsos.
All right.
Trying to make a dumbed down version of the design for Matoran, put that on a full minifigure, and then see what it looks like on
See
the
how that
other
looks.
one. I think that's the only way they're going to convince anyone here.
This isn't.
Well, you do have some previous designs for Tahu that we could start from there. Before it became the thing. Yeah.
I might make a completely new design.
Okay.
What do you think, community? Matoran, same size, different size? And if answer yes to either one, what would you do to make them distinct? Or how would you handle their different sizes? Hobbit legs, skeleton legs, or new piece? This is what we want to know from you, and we're probably going to make a poll, or if
Well,
not
we
a
know
poll,
what Meso
just
would
post in the
want,
topic.
skeleton legs.
We'll do
Maybe
a
a poll
community
or so,
aggregation.
If I could.
Heck yeah,
I
say it,
could-
man.
we'll see. We'll
Speak
see
your
how it
mind.
goes.
Okay, so I mean, I bought the Ravager attack set the other day for Guardians of the Galaxy, and they make Rocket Raccoon have the smaller legs, and I didn't realize at first that they had no articulation, so that bummed me out. So this whole time, I've been on the fence about if the Matoran should be the same height, or I think the biggest thing that bugs me is just the lack of articulation on it. But thinking about it, the height difference is pretty, I would say, works in its favor. I mean, obviously Rocket should be shorter than the other ones, but it just kind of makes me want to play around with the set or the minifigure less, just because I can't even move the legs. So if we can come up with a piece that allows the shorter legs,
You think it gives it more
work?
more uniqueness?
Yeah, it gives it more character,
Okay.
that's for sure. So I think it's like a combination of everything that would make the Matoran more distinct. Obviously, the more simple design plus shorter legs, but I would go for the shorter legs only if they could move, just to give it more play value.
I do think like we're like, even though you're like, you guys are technically right in the sense that like we aren't, I don't know how many, we're probably not going to have a whole bunch of kid characters in Bionicle. But that being said, we are taking away the aspect of having shorter characters if we ever do something that requires a character to be shorter. For example, Rocket Raccoon is very much at a height difference from the rest of the Guardians, so he has to be smaller. The Hobbits, for example, need to be smaller. But should we take the Matoran and make them all smaller and then kind of, leave the majority of them of that?
I mean, how are
I
we
don't
gonna
know.
make a
I feel
kid
like
Hobbit?
we can.
We're never going to make a kid Matoran. It's never going to happen.
Exactly.
And if we do, it's going to be baby.
I mean, listen, I totally agree with you. How are we going to make a kid Hobbit? I don't know. And if I was creating the Hobbit from scratch, I probably wouldn't do that.
I don't think that
They adapted a line that had existed for a very long while.
I don't think that the
Essentially.
argument that, well, how are we going to make a kid Matoran is
Well, it's
incredibly
not how we're
strong.
going to make
I
a
don't
kid.
think it's very strong
It's like,
either.
again, it's this thing where like, no, it's a thing where I'm saying that like, is all of this worth just the size difference? And I don't think so.
I think that
there's
the
a lot of
size
things we're discussing.
between a Matoran
I feel like
and a
the-
Toa
Are
is
we gonna make a
intrinsic
Matoran kid?
to
Well,
a
guys,
Matoran character.
I do not.
The-
Not for G3. You can argue about G1 and G2, but right now we're talking about these characters. These characters are very real to our Toa. They intermingle with our Toa. These Toa come from these villages. So the characters supporting cast is going to be way larger and way more
Then why is Onua
distinct.
bigger?
Onua is bigger because we wanted that element of his design to stay, and
Why?
it would make him unique. Because he's a stronger person. He's a stronger Toa.
And Matoran are weaker than Toa.
Yeah, but like we gave.
So
I don't
visually,
know
wouldn't
that
it make sense for them to
Physically be
physically
smaller.
look weaker?
Mwah, mwah,
Just
mwah.
like it makes sense
No,
for
if-
Onua to
if-
physically be bigger because he is physically stronger.
No, I mean like it's Onua is like, it's like the Hulk. You know, he's a bigger character in general.
And-
That's what we're getting.
and
Many
Power
people
set.
disagree
made
with
Hulk
you about Anua being the
minifigures,
Hulk.
and when they make Hulk minifigures, guess what? That takes away a substantial portion of that character's role. when you line him up against other characters. The Hulk, his character is big, massive. He towers over other people.
Right.
He is an intimidating
Right.
force, and that
Right.
is shown very visually that he's stronger because he's so much bigger, and others are smaller than him because they aren't as
Yeah.
strong.
Right, because no, he's a stronger character, so he's huge.
Exactly, and when
Right,
they
but
make
that,
him a minifigure,
but that's saying,
it
I
takes
mean,
that
like
part
Captain
away from him.
America is stronger than a normal human, but Captain America's figure isn't taller.
Yeah, but Captain America isn't stronger than the Hulk.
But it would make sense if they decided to make him.
You're right, and none of the Toa are strong enough. I guess I don't get what you're saying with this argument. Onua is an abnormally strong
Plus, I'm pretty
character,
sure
and he's
that
given a
Cap
normally strong
became
form.
taller when he went through the thing, like in the movie. His height dramatically increased.
You're right. I'm saying in the movie he did because he was like a short, scrawny kid and he became a really tall guy. But in the minifigure, his minifigure's the same. That's what I'm
But they
saying.
don't have a short, scrawny minifigure for Captain America.
We didn't include that in the set, sure.
There's also no way to
The
make him
thing
bigger
is-
in minifigure scale without making like a long leg dude like Woody.
The difference
Exactly.
There is a pre-existing way to make Matoran shorter. So
between... Yeah,
no,
the
not
difference
exactly.
is that we're not dealing with humans here.
No, I'm not saying we're dealing with humans. I just don't see the size difference as being that big of a deal.
But that's the
to
point
change
LJ was
how-
making, is that you do see the size difference as being that big of a deal when it applies to Anua, but not the other way around when it goes to the Matoran.
Well, we came up with Onua just because we liked how that
So
looked in
would you make
2015.
Onua a normal minifigure?
Sure. If it came down to this, then sure. If you were like, the thing is that the Onua didn't need to be a bigger minifigure. We just made it that way because we wanted to have a separate design for Onua as apart from the other
To
figures.
emphasize that he's stronger than the other
let
Toa.
me
That's
finish.
why we wanted that, not just to make him different.
Right, exactly.
Right, exactly.
Right. I'm saying that with the Matoran and the Toa, I feel their height difference is not that big of a deal.
It's exactly the
height-
same deal
the-
as Anua being bigger than the other Toa.
I feel
it's the exact same thing.
My stake in this, if we're going to tell a story that even once has an element in it of the Toa being isolated from their friends or their family or the people they once knew, if that even for a second is going to enter our minds as being part of our story, the size difference is almost mandatory. Because it's that visual
Yeah,
color.
they should be different.
And per our own discussion, that's probably going to be an element of the story. that we
Especially
often
with
do.
like the story
Oh, it's
plot,
gonna be
like,
an
maybe
element
the Toa,
for
one of
Onua.
the Toa having a relationship with the Matoran that just doesn't quite work out anymore because of the change.
Right. I mean, that was going to be Onua, though. To be fair, that's what we were talking about it in the context
Exactly,
of
and
Onua.
size is very important when it comes to Onua, so why wouldn't it be when it comes to a Toa and a Matoran?
Go.
Because the Toa and the general Toa and the Matoran are more similar to each other.
Then Onua, who's the same species?
Onua gets something big. I mean, really, honestly speaking, I'd be okay with turning Onua into like a normal figure.
And then you take away...
I don't think he
don't
needs
see
to be
that
that.
either.
So
I see them. as
I'm
equally
not
as
going for it
important.
because I do like how Onua looks. I'm saying that we're taking this Onua concept and applying it to the rest of them at a disadvantage level. The Toa are all normal minifigures. We made Onua a special minifigure. Now we're making everyone else special minifigures. That's the difference here.
But before this podcast, I was all set to come in here and change my mind. I can't know that the other piece exists. The argument that I thought you were probably going to use to convince me was, just like we weren't going to reinvent the minifigure to add more articulation for Bionicle because it would alienate all the AFOLs and people who like traditional minifigures, nor should we change up the primary minifigure style.
I'm getting to that.
That's what I thought.
That's
but
my
that,
final-
That,
that's my
that
final-
doesn't have
that's
any
my
water
closing
if we're
statement.
going to do the hip piece. So, as far as I'm concerned, this discussion's over for this episode.
Dang.
I'm
Meso
no, I mean, like,
has
we're about to hit
spoken.
an hour and a half. We gotta cap it, and I feel like this whole
Guilty.
discussion is.
No, I mean we got to cap it.
It's all gonna
It's relationships
It's
all
all
over
gonna
again.
boil down to the hip piece in the end. We either do it or we don't. And
Right. Okay. Well, we will. I mean, I'll concede.
it's not
like,
over.
I'll
You
concede
don't have to
in that
concede anything
we-
yet. I
we're
want to
gonna look
open
it
the
up.
floor to the
Yeah.
fans, and we're gonna readdress this next week. And then we can fire back some more points, and let's get some more feedback in. Because no, a decision has not been reached yet. There's more stuff to talk about. We just have to cut it off because we're about to hit an hour and a half. So, yeah. And alternatively, real quickly, for a second, I wanted to spotlight Oomatu's Gali thing. What village is the water village? It's going up on screen right now.
Naho.
It's great. Naho. This picture of Naho, the ships. We haven't yet completely constructed the Naho architecture, but I really like this ship element. How they're all just kind of sailing around. Yes.
The villager ships, yeah. No, I like the fact that the huts would
very,
be
very
floating
cool.
in a sense. They'd be their own little ships.
And we're going to discuss
Always loved the
village
idea.
concept much more in the weeks to come. And thank you very much, Oomatu, for your invaluable work in weapon concepts and village concepts and character concepts and basically just everything you do. Really cool dude. And as with every week, I'd like to spotlight one member of our live studio audience on Patreon for being an awesome person and contributing to our podcast discussion every week. This week, spotlight goes to Magic Ninja 6195, and thumbs up to you. She won SDCC tickets, which is why I think it's relevant. Spotlight,
Nice, yeah.
that's a cool accomplishment. So thumbs up.
Ven and I were dabbling in the idea, but Ven missed it, and I'm not interested in going this year. So
All right.
maybe next time. But congratulations.
For now,
Magic
thank
Ninja.
you
I wonder
all
if
very
there's
much
some
for
Infinity War
listening,
stuff.
and we will see you
That'd
all
be kinda
next
cool.
week. I'm Meso.
I'm Matoran.
I'm LJ.
I'm Jonathan.
I'm Ven.
I'm Phweffie.
And I'm Tenebrae Invictus.
And farewell, everybody. See you all next time.
Bye.
Goodbye forever.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye forever.
Bye, Felicia.